show on the road. Good morning, everybody. As we start the third day of our International Youth Film Festival, we're absolutely delighted to hand the day over to our group of young creatives, Ffilm Ifanc, Young Film. I think Wicked understands the importance of young people and the emerging filmmakers in Wales and want to support them. So I'm really looking forward to what you've all got to say and learning about your situation and what are the issues for you. So over to Ffilm Ifanc.
Thank you. Yes, so we're Ffilm Ifanc, and we're here today to talk about low-budget filmmaking and how young filmmakers can make films on zero to a small budget.
Yeah, so Ffilm Ifanc, we are a group of young filmmakers, film programmers from across Wales, and we're the youth initiative for Wicked Wales. Today we have our panellists who are made up of members of Ffilm Ifanc who are going to show a couple of films and share their stories of making them.
Yeah, so first of all we have Martin. Would you like to introduce yourself, Martin?
Yes, hello, my name is Martin. Martin Hayfield. Martin Hayfield. Martin Hayfield, that's my name. Yeah, and I made a film called Bracelet Stories, and it's about the stories about my bracelets that I had 7 years ago. I don't wear any bracelets anymore, but this is the film about my bracelets. So.
Yeah, good to watch.
Some people like to wear expensive bracelets and top shops. But I like to wear bracelets that remind me of a sweet time. The red string was attached to a glow stick that was dangling down from a cheap chandelier at a house party. Also, it reminds me of the short film I was a sound man for called Venn Diagram. The simple Casio watch was bought on my holiday in Spain. It was an all-exclusive holiday, which means everything is free. I drank so much Blue Lagoon thinking it was alcoholic, but on the last day, my family revealed to me that it was alcohol-free. The blue wristband was my entry into Splash World at Butlins. You were supposed to give it back, but I didn't. The little mangled green thing is what binded my old journal together. It reminds me to always stay creative and write things down. The Reading wristband reminds me of reading books by the river. Oh wait, Reading as in a city? Where they hold that festival? Oh right, well in that case, it reminds me of that great festival where I saw Foals, the Maccabees, Lucy Rose, Little Comets, and plenty more. On My Bicycle Club have been my favourite band for over 5 years now, which all my friends well and truly know because I never stop banging on about them. I've owned 2 of these beautiful green wristbands. The first one I got at the Exeter gig in 2014, and the second one I got online just after seeing their incredible set at Somersault Festival this year. By the way, I got their set list. Yeah. Most of the time, I keep my bracelets on my door.
Early one morning, Peter opened the gate and went out into the big green meadow.
No joke. What lunatic does that? I keep mine on my bedside table, like any other normal human being.
Cheers.
That was amazing, Martin. So do you tell us a bit about the budget for that film?
Well, there is no budget.
Yeah.
As you can probably tell, it's kind of just like I had all the footage on my hard drive originally, and so I had the evidence for these stories. So I was just wandering around the house one day. I was like, oh, what film should I make? What film should I make? And then I just looked down at my wrist. I was like, yeah, that's a film, because you can make a film literally about anything. So that was what I went for. Yeah.
Of course, it's amazing. So, was there any sort of difficulties when making this film with no budget?
It took maybe 3 weeks to edit, just trying to sift through all the footage and going on Facebook, trying to find old pictures of myself and my favorite band, My Bicycle Club, all those T-shirts, that kind of thing, and yeah.
Amazing.
Anything else?
Do you have any pieces of advice for young aspiring filmmakers who are looking to make a film with no budget?
Literally just make a film about anything, and you don't need anyone per se. You can, like, obviously film is very collaborative art, but you can make a film by yourself. So like, if you have an idea, just go out and just do it. Because I literally started editing on my iPhone 4 back in the day, and that's how I started. So there's no real excuse not to make a film nowadays. Like, you just
I think
just throw yourself out there.
A lot of us started on iMovie back in the day.
Yeah. I'm still repping the iMovie.
iMovie, yeah.
Because like, if you think about it, back in the olden days, like, they'll cut the film, and that's what I'm doing on the iMovie, but I'm splitting the clips. Yeah.
Amazing.
And are you looking to get any more bracelets in future, Martin? Or
Maybe like, if I have a future wife, maybe like a Pandora bracelet, or a classic, or a Bombay Bicycle Club wristband, like from there, because they're still selling it. But I don't actually wear any bracelets anymore because I just don't like stuff on my wrist anymore. So.
Amazing, thank you, Martin. Does anyone have any questions about the film or anything to do with budget?
Yes. So at the moment, no. But I make dancing videos. That's my focus at the moment, I guess. Like, dance on the beaches in Wales, in the woods, and in my bedroom. But yeah. But once the idea hits me, I'll just go out and just do it. I'm that kind of person, I think. Yeah.
Where can they find your dancing videos?
On my second YouTube channel called Martin Films Life.
Amazing.
And also I've got, I run like an acoustic session channel on YouTube called Toe Sweat Sessions, where I film musicians in weird locations. I've done 17 musicians in Taunton and in Cardiff. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Well, that took like 3 to 4 weeks, but I made this like long form, like 1,500 clips video called Snippets of Adulthood, and that took like 6 months to edit, because like each clip is like between 0.5 seconds and like 5 seconds. So that's probably the work I'm most proud of, because it just took so long to make, kind of thing.
thank you, Martin.
Deal.
So,
Give it up for
Cheers.
Martin.
Thank you. I put one clap on myself.
so next up on our panel, we have Rebs Fisher-Jackson. So Rebs, do you want to tell us a little bit about your film Best Student?
Yeah, so it's my first micro short, and it's the first film that I've ever had funded for. And it came about as many people were during the lockdown. I kept cleaning and re-cleaning and cleaning my house. Reorganising stuff was like my favourite thing to do. The casualty of that, though, was so many mugs. Just I would knock a mug off, my partner would knock a mug off. We'd both do it at the same time, just silly things like we'd drop them washing up and everything. And it was actually weirdly upsetting, because some of these were very sentimental mugs. And I kind of went away and just thought, why am I so upset about a mug smashing? And that is where Best Student has come from.
Amazing. Can we get that on?
You all strapped in?
Carry chick, don't forget to keep drinking, okay?
you want a drink?
It's only mugs left.
How's it going at uni?
Good. What about you? Hi, welcome to Checkmate Solutions. How may I help?
Right, well, I'm not happy with what's going on.
Yes, I understand that.
What do these people get paid to do?
Well, I apologise for any inconvenience today. Would you like me to direct your call to someone more specific?
Do nothing to help anybody. I'm so angry.
Have a good day then.
Let me get that for you.
Amazing, thank you, Rez. Love that. Yeah, so do you want to just talk to us a bit about how you got the budget for that film?
Yeah, so the budget was £1,000, which sounds like it's a lot, but in terms of film production, it's really not. So the BFI Film Academy, in partnership with Chapter, did a thing for 16 to 24-year-old filmmakers based in Wales. So I applied. I didn't send the script through, but I did send through a pitch deck, which I completely created from scratch. I've worked in production before, but I've never produced anything. So I had to do some research. I had to write a director's statement. I attached myself and my partner, Lauren, who was the art director for the film, as co-producers for the film, and just sent that through with the idea. Because the idea of the film was just to look at sentimentality attached to objects and how objects can become a reflection of our feelings, which is why the mug gets more and more scratched as the character's life goes on. And Chapter seemed to really like it. Then they gave me a filmmaking mentor who was great, and just used the budget for that.
That's great, yeah. What was the process like working with a mentor then?
It was quite difficult because we didn't have a lot of time. There were a lot of restrictions in the film. We had to be under a certain length to be considered a micro short, which I think I'm about 30 seconds under, so just. And we had to submit it by a certain date, which wasn't that far in advance. So I had a very short amount of time to actually get this through, shoot it, edit it, be happy with it, and then submit that. So I was working quite a lot with my mentor. I only had a few sessions with her that I was allocated. So a lot of it was off my own back, and just sourcing crew, sourcing locations was very, very hard to try and find out, and to do all of the art department stuff as well.
Yeah, amazing.
Have you got any advice for someone making their first film?
I think so. I think a load of people just want to be a producer, writer or director, and there's loads of other things that you can do on set, because I'm a script supervisor normally as well as being a writer, and that's how I've learned a lot about camera angles and everything. And I think you can just get out there and make something, but I also think that there's a lot to be said for collaborating with people. I was adamant that I wanted to pay people on my project, even if it was something, because just for me personally, I don't ever want anyone to work for free if there's money available. So I reached out, but I was adamant that I wanted a script supervisor, and I think some people thought, why did you want that? But it's because as I am one, I know the value of that in the edit. I also know what's out of my skill set. I can't edit anything I don't know how to use, anything beyond something from like 2005 on the phone. So I think just getting out there and talking to people across different departments, because you never know who wants to try something new as well, who has the same kind of ideas, and if you push yourself out of the comfort zone to meet other people, it could be such a good thing just to collaborate with others, even if you don't have a lot of budget or time.
Amazing. Amazing, yeah. How many people worked on that film we just saw, and what was the process like in getting crew members?
Well, I was very adamant as well that I wanted to hire local people as much as possible, and diversity behind the camera is also very important to me. So I was very keen if I could hire someone who was from a minority background, LGBT+, or identified as disabled. I was very, very keen to work with them, and I think at the end, 75% of cast and crew were minorities, and all of the HODs identified as neurodiverse, which was fantastic. It was quite tricky because I didn't go to film school, so I didn't have access to any equipment or much networking. Even though I work in film and TV, it's quite tricky to find people that are available to work on such a small project. So I put calls out on Facebook groups. Lauren was helping too, asking friends if they knew anybody. The biggest thing I found was trying to find a camera team and trying to find locations and actors. So the camera department only had 2 people in it, which was Ash, who's from Birmingham, and his friend Luke. He was the focus puller, and Ash provided all of the equipment. Archie was the sound recordist, and he was a student at USW who did have access to all of those things, because I think as well, he had a very impressive CV, and even though I was getting loads of emails from people, I thought, if you've done all of that as a student, that's really impressive, and he did such a fantastic job. My script supervisor was also from Birmingham, called Merrin, and Lauren did all of the art, and I drafted in everyone that I could to help because of the budget. So the actors, the mother was actually my mother-in-law. The young Carrie is actually my sister-in-law. The older Carrie at the end is my mum. The angry man on the phone is my dad, and the main actress who played young adult Carrie is a friend of a friend. So we shot at my parents-in-law house as well for the outside scenes and the kitchen scenes. So we did have quite a lot of people working on the shoot, and I had a friend who was the colorist who works at Sky who really helped me out. Megan was the editor as well, because I think I wanted everyone to do such a good job, because there's so many, the film is just basically close-ups. It was quite important that the soundscape created a larger environment, that the art was just, is the main character of the film, is the mug. So I think I really had to try and stretch the budget and just constantly talk to people, find anyone who would be interested to take a lower rate, but who might be interested in the script, just collaborate. So more than most average short films for the crew, but also most of the crew were my friends and family.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of how you can use like close and local networks to make something such amazing as that. Yeah.
Do you still have the mug?
I do. I had extras made, and I gave one to every crew member as a thank you gift, just for a joke. And I've got one of the broken mugs, that's the one at the end, that's repaired with the Japanese art of kintsugi, which is all about if you break something, you can repair it yourself. That's on my shelf next to one of the proper ones with the slate as well. But they haven't been broken yet, so I'm hoping that they're not.
Oh, amazing. Does anyone else have any questions for Rebs? Film funding in general, or just? I did, for this BFI one, I just did everything on my own, but Lorraine, who's very lovely leader of Ffilm Ifanc, sent the email through about the funding. So I saw that at chapter, and I just made my application. I know a couple of other people who were part of the filmmaking group. I think that there are about 5 of us who got films funded. I know one of them had a producer do all the things for them, so they didn't have much involvement. But I did research, and I've got a couple of books as well from Ray Dance about how to make films on low to no budget filmmaking. So I just read that and just try to do it on my own, because sometimes there's a lot of opportunities in Wales to approach people like Film Cymru to do funding alone as an independent person, but also if you have a producer, that just makes it extra handy. Any other questions? Yeah.
Could you talk us through that a little bit, please?
Sure. So I struggle with editing, so I was working remotely with my editor, and we had 2 days. We shot the film in 2 days, and then we had 2 days over the weekend to edit it as well, which is difficult because we were all working full-time jobs. So I spent 2 days editing it and just sent that into Chapter, got some feedback, and then we had a screening day at Chapter a couple of weeks ago, which Ffilm Ifanc also did an event at with a Q&A, where we just watched all of the films, but there wasn't any real guidance in submitting to film festivals afterwards, so I've done that completely off my own back. I've made an account on Film Freeway and just researched festivals that I think might be suited for my film. So I've submitted to loads of micro-short ones as well and low-budget ones. I think generally it does depend on the festival, but a lot of festivals define low budget as less than £5,000. So I've submitted mine to a lot of them and a lot of Welsh-based festivals, but also I've put a little bit of a budget aside now that whenever I have a bit of spare money from work, I just go to submit more to film festivals because they can range in price from like £5 to 50 sometimes. So it's a bit of choosing which ones you think you're going to get to. So we've just had a lot of success at the Paris Film Festival where we won the Best Short and the Audience Award. And I submitted for other things as well, as Lauren is really good at graphic design, which not everyone has access to a good graphic designer. She's made a poster and a promo pack and a press pack, and we took loads of BTS shots. So I've got a press pack that I've made, and we've won Best Poster for some of the things. So some of the awards that are available to enter for aren't necessarily just filmmaking things. So if you think your film would also be great for the posters, I would say submit that as well, because the more film festival recognition that you get, the more doors are opening for me now, even if they're not huge international film festivals.
That's great, yeah, thank you. Any more questions before we move on? No? That's great then, thank you, Rebs.
So next up, we have Osha and Andrew. So Osha, Osha and Andrew, correction. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your film?
Yeah, it's a Welsh language film, something that I think there's a bit of a lack of being made. There's some great Welsh language filmmakers out there. Myself, I like to think, Ffion Pritchard, Osha and Roberts, there's some great ones out there, up and coming young filmmakers. So I thought it was really important for me as a young Welsh language speaker to make a film in the Welsh language. Too often I think you see English language films made in Wales, so I thought it'd be really important to do it in the Welsh language. It's about young people living in Wales. It was made during the pandemic, during lockdown. I got a bit of funding for it, but yeah, it's just a representation of living in Wales as a young person, and I really hope it shows in the film.
Amazing, thank you.
Cymru, gwlad werdd, tir fferm dros filltiroedd. Cymru, gwlad pert, hanes dros ganrifoedd. Gwlad hapus, gwlad trist, cerddoriaeth, ynghlyst, gwlad cyfoeth, gwlad tlawd, balchder, fy mrawd. Balch yr wyf I fod yn Gymro, nad yw hi fod o syndod. Balch yr wyf I siarad iaith, cadw'n fyw yw fy ngwaith. Mwy o bobl yn siarad y iaith, sylwi bod hi'n dipyn o fraint. Teithio dros Gymru oll, dyna gwahaniaeth mewn meddwl y co. Gormod o dai a diffyg tir, Yr holl frics, dim un I mi. Diffyg llais yn fy nhi. Gwthion I gyd at y frig. Gwahaniaeth oed rhwng ti a fi. Fy nagra I dy gyfoeth di. Gwahaniaeth barn rhwng ti a fi. Pabi I mi a rhosyn I chdi. Dy ddiffyg di deall y wlad, dy fodlondeb di dystyru fy marn, barna I ar fy ngwaith, nid ar acen na'r iaith. Pryd awr hael, cwn I to, tsunami yn seithi trwy'r fro, teithio'n leol, filltiroedd I ffwr, treger y môr wedi codi'n frwnt. Cymru. Gwlad tawel. Distaw. Yw'r awel. Cymru. Gwlad bach. Wedi colli. Y ras. Wedi anori gan yr undeb, I bocedi Llundain awn ein gynildeb. Fy mobl I wedi wrthrymu, ma'n pwysigrwydd yn ostynnu. Gwag yw pentre, heb y Cymru, twll am galon ym mhob hafdu, arian dros ben, swydd y ddinas, aros adre, dyna gymwynas. Treulio dros cyffiniau'r wlad, tra bo'r awyr yn hollol las. Lle I chdi am yr wythnos, nyn lle I mi yn bell na'n agos. Allan o'n wlad dim siams dy fi, teithio I ffwr I newydd dir. Nad yw marn yn las na'n goch, dwi'n gwybod yn iawn o le dwi'n dod. Cymru, gwlad ifanc, yn arwain I ddianc. Cymru, gwlad cyfiawn, annibyniaeth, fe ddaw. Diolch byth am yr ifanc, cynnydd plaid yn mynd yn ieuanc. Hen bryd I ni cael llais, cyn iddy'n droi yn 17. O ben Brestatyn I gwaelod y fro, ma'n barnau ni yn codi'r to. I wneud yn siŵr bod chi'n clywed, dy ni yr ifanc yn colli'n hyfer.
Amazing, thank you, Roshan. So would you like to talk us a bit about the funding that you got for that film?
Yeah, it was honestly a pot of luck.
Yeah.
I honestly, a debt of gratitude to Rhiannon at Wicked Wales, especially Pauline Williams that produced it. And I truly mean that because I don't think, if I hadn't have got the fund and the commission to make this film, I think I probably would have considered stepping back from filmmaking and looked into doing something different. I've been through too many rejections in application processes, and honestly, I wasn't expecting to get this. I really thought, no way. I remember writing my pitch for it and just thinking, this will be my last time doing this. Apparently not. I got it a few weeks later. I got an email, I think from Pauline, introducing herself and saying, you've been shortlisted, can we have a Zoom? And I think it was in early April morning, I had a Zoom with Rhiannon, Lorraine and Pauline. I didn't realise that I would know these three women for a lot longer, and that they would give me a lot more opportunities. So to them, I'm very grateful for. But yeah, I got £500. This was made in conjunction with Wicked Wales and also San Antonio, which is linked with the International Youth Media Summit, which happens once a year in a different country all over the world. Sweden this year, Wisconsin next, so it goes all over. So it was great. I got fantastic help from established producers like Wenfield and of course Pauline Williams, and great advice from people like Evan and Subert, who's based in LA, and it was just amazing. Like, I can't believe I had the opportunity. It's the only time I've been given money to make a film, one and only time. And like Rebs mentioned earlier, I got half the money she did. So, you know, £1,000 isn't a lot. 500 quid is even less. I've worked with crews before, unpaid and for all of us. But the minute I get a bit of money, I ended up doing everything myself. Because of course, this was made during the pandemic. So I did the score myself, did all the filming, the editing myself. But of course, a lot of help went into it, guiding me through it, to the people I mentioned, and of course Dion Wynn, who produced it too. And the other filmmakers that, there were 7 filmmakers, or 7 groups of filmmakers that had to make films, much like mine, about where they lived. A few in Nepal, one from Sri Lanka working in London. I've made some great friends, and of course Nidhi from India. I mean, wow, I've made some great friends from all over the world, and it's how I got to meet Ffion Pritchard, of course, fantastic filmmaker herself. She made a great film called Pentrefi, and she was a great help. We were just helping each other, young people helping each other to make films. And in most cases, for most of us, our first ever funded, professionally produced film. So yeah, a big step for me.
Yeah, that's great. You spoke a bit about how much diligence you need to keep on pushing forwards and with funding applications sometimes when you get rejected. What advice would you give to people sort of who keep on applying for funding but are not getting it? How can they sort of keep pushing themselves forward?
I think don't listen to that little voice in your head that says, oh, this will be the last one. So I think that's where I went wrong. Had I not gotten it, maybe the next one would have been it. Do you know what I mean? And it really is a mental strain. So I would to them say, just keep doing it, keep applying. But I think really the message should go out to funders that are out there, big bodies that, you know, please help young filmmakers. The thing is, 500 quid was still enough for me to make a film. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It's heartbreaking to me when I see professionally produced feature films that have been given millions by film bodies in Wales, to films that, in most cases, aren't even filmed in Wales, you know, maybe have a small Welsh connection, and they get millions or hundreds of thousands, sometimes by the government, and through big bodies like that, and then it only takes 500 quid for a young person to make a film. Can you not maybe give a small fraction of that £1 million to scores of hundreds of young filmmakers in Wales that can just share their voice in something really simple? I find that really frustrating, and it's something that needs to be done, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So what inspired you to make this film? Like the topics of industrialisation and taking away from the rural beauty of Wales and forcing it all into these massive industrial areas?
I mean, we were kind of tasked with making a short film from the perspective of young Welsh people. And honestly, because this was made, as you know, during the COVID pandemic, I, like a lot of other people, lost their minds. Honestly, I was insane. I look back and think, God, wow, I really was going mental, just being locked away. So honestly, like listening to it now, a lot of it's anger-driven, if I'm honest, and really true frustration as a young Welsh person just not being listened to. So I thought, well, this could be my one and only chance to make a film that's seen. I better put my opinions out there. And I think they come across. I'm straight up saying what I think. So, yeah, I think it comes across, and I just thought it was really important to show the opinions of young Welsh people, because again, not enough films are being made.
And I know I've asked this question a lot, but what is your absolute defining piece of information for young filmmakers looking to just start getting out there?
A bit of a cliche, just keep on going. Honestly, just keep on going. You don't even need 500 quid to make a film. Martin proves that. You can, honestly, you can just use your phone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even need a camera. I'm so lucky that I've got a half-decent camera. But even that isn't too expensive. So I know I'm really lucky, but you don't even need a half-decent camera. You can use your phone. Honestly, things are going out on TikTok. People are getting famous off of that, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? You can use your phone. And just do it. And I was lucky I can do music and film. So I did a lot of that. But there's help out there. There are even Facebook groups of a lot of student filmmakers, right, that just want to help each other and just network out there. You'd be surprised what you can just put out on Facebook. I remember the first film I did, I got a crew, some of them now working professionally in the industry, some of them with big credits on, you know, Netflix shows and the likes. And this was only a few years ago, and they worked for free for me. And I worked for free for them, you know, and sure, there is a debate there where how sustainable is that, but honestly, if you can, put yourself out there, do a couple of films for other people, they'll probably help you out with yours. Yeah, just reach out. Collaboration is the future, 100%.
That's great.
Anybody have any questions for Oshan?
Hiya. I really enjoyed the film. I've seen it before, but it's I just want to say, like, with future work, do you think it'll take that like political angle again, and especially to do with Wales and that sort of stuff? And I also wanted to ask, I don't know if it's intentional, but is there some inspiration there from Datblygu? Because with Datblygu's Carnegie Gymru, it sounds like quite like, it's like spoken word but music at the same time, and it just reminded me of that bit, and it's quite political, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely inspired by a lot of the Welsh language stuff I grew up watching. So I think it's definitely proven there. I did a poetry piece, spoken word, with sort of very Welsh-inspired music almost, and of course the landscapes. I should say I thought it was really important for me to go all the way around Wales. That's why I spent my £500 on travelling around Wales, showing every single corner of it, not just Cardiff, because that happens a lot. And I thought, even though I'm South Wales based, I thought it's really important to go up to North Wales. I have family up here, and I mean, I work with people in North Wales now more than I do with people in South Wales, which I find quite ironic actually. And people think that all the work's in Cardiff, but I think it is moving up here. But in terms of politically, I wouldn't say that I am indebted to doing my work, you know, politically, to put my opinion out there, and I know it's a bit risky, but we live in an odd world, and I think people need to be educated. Young Welsh people's opinions aren't broadcasted widely. They're often disregarded, as I'm sure you well know. Of course, Oshan Roberts is asking me this question. He's made a fantastic film called Llywelyn that I've seen. And if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's out there. And it's 5 minutes as well. And again, that's another somewhat a political piece as well. And honestly, just put your voice out there. Like I said, I took this opportunity to put my voice out there, and I'm so grateful for it.
Given the way the discussion has just gone, we're really pleased that we have two members from the Ffilm Cymru Wales here today, and I think it might be useful if they're happy to just say a few words and explain the roles and their context, and it might bring some links for you that could help everybody here today.
Hi. It's really weird to speak on a microphone. Yeah, I'm Carlotta and I'm from Ffilm Cymru. I work on the education and audience department. So unfortunately, we don't deliver funding in my department to filmmakers. We do more like just educating young audiences on what film is and bringing them in for the very first steps into film. But I do fully understand and endorse what you just said about funding for young filmmakers. My question for you, and it's for the whole panel, is how old were you when you made your first film, and what inspired you to start making films or working within film?
My first official film is called Spare. It's just a film about a guy going to a bowling place and his date doesn't arrive, so he's a spare man. I think I made that when I was 18, and again, that was no funding. I just used my friends as actors, used my camera and that kind of thing. And I started making like YouTube videos when I was like 13, and I just carried on since, really. So one of my biggest regrets is just like deleting all my old videos on YouTube. So I'd fully encourage just to leave everything that you've made up online, because it's good to like see the progress in like people's ability and that kind of thing.
Was there any moment like throughout your education where you came across filmmaking and you're like, this is something I want to explore further, or was it just like completely self-started?
I would say self-started, because I've just always loved films in general. Like I go to the cinema like once or twice a week, and I've been doing that for like 4 years. I'm just a big fan of films in general. I just like the way they make me feel, and like if a film is good, it's gonna make me cry, it's gonna make me laugh, and I just love experiencing like all the worlds on the screen. I think it's a beautiful film.
And is the cinema aspect of it important, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, it's just the best way to view a film in general. But I think like film festivals are good, but at the end of it, you should just post the film and just get your film out there, because I've worked on films as like a sound recordist, and they just don't put their film out there at all, like after like one film festival. I feel like that's a shame, because like I worked on a film where there's like a 15 crew, and like it's just a shame like to work like for like 4 days, like, and then no one see it. It's just like a shame.
Yeah, I think just to follow up on that, I think it's quite important as well to know, for example, with my film, not only did I get a bit of funding for it, but Wicked Wales have stayed in contact with me. I'm here today. They've passed me on to further work, you know, and I think for the lucky ones that do get funding, you get your money, you make your film, and that's it. You know, how does that get your name out there? You know, all you're left with is what, an MP4? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's not just the money. Everybody makes it about the money. I think it's also about the support you get after, right? And maybe if we could have a little bit more guidance, like Pauline's given me, with my future sort of prospects, I think maybe films will be able to get into film festivals. But I know, Rebs, you've done very well with it.
I've done it on my own, though. I was meant to have a feedback session with the funders that just never really happened, so I never had any feedback from the people who funded the film. So I've just, if I'm on a set, I'm on a set for 12, 13 hours a day, I'm exhausted. So if I want to connect with people, put it into showcases, or go to film festivals, that's entirely off of my own back and my own money. And that was the thing that I didn't realise when I did my film. It's just how expensive film festivals are. Those £5, £10 start adding up, and I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, there's no funding available for young people in Wales, like a massive pot or something towards film festivals. But I know multiple people that have gone on to direct continuing dramas off of the basis of one short film won at 2 random film festivals, not even the big ones. So it is important, even if it's not Tribeca or Cannes or Venice. I mean, I've been doing this an awfully long time. I was 7 years old when I made my first film, an adaptation of The Jungle Book years ago. But I was 24 when I got my first ever piece of funding. That's the first ever film I've ever made with a crew. And like you said earlier, there's just rejection after rejection after rejection. And there's never any feedback as to what you do wrong, which is really frustrating. And I understand that there's so many applications, there's so many people who want the funding, but then there's no feedback, and then there's just no follow-up from most places, and it's entirely, this is why I love being part of Ffilm Ifanc, because the very first film that I made as an adult, which was Cariad, which was a Welsh language English film, I was acting in it, I was camera operator, I did everything on my own, and nobody ever saw that film until I got involved with Ffilm Ifanc, and it was in the Made in Wales showcase, which is a fantastic opportunity to get that out there. But then as soon as you get that opportunity, people offer you more. So it's kind of like a horrible cycle of you can't get anywhere without being given the opportunity to get anywhere, and then nothing comes of that. And I think for me, my idea is as soon as I've done the film festival circuit at the end of next year, I'm going to put it on YouTube or Vimeo, because like you guys have said, there's no point making a film and then hoarding it. And there are some film festivals that say you can't post it online, so that's fine. Then when that's finished, this is my calling card. It's the only thing that shows I can actually make anything. So I'm just going to have to post that online.
Absolutely, and again, it's worth noting, Wicked Wales Film Festival is free to enter. I think it's also maybe funding festivals like this. There's definitely a lack of that going. I work in programming in many festivals in Wales, and they aim for something, they don't get much money for it, do you know what I mean? And they are aiming to put films on for free. People got to see Dream Horse yesterday for free, you know?
It's the first time I've seen that film.
Right, and it's a great film. And I think giving us, filmmakers that don't have that money to spare, on submissions in some cases, the opportunity to get our things seen, and that's what's really important about Ffilm Ifanc as well. We're all filmmakers in that middle ground that is never really discussed between student and established. We're in that sort of, that middle ground where we know how to make a film, don't we?
But we're too old to submit. This is what I found, like the BFI Film Academy is a fantastic opportunity. My partner did that when she was 17. I, however, lived in Cornwall, and even with the bursaries available and everything, I just could not afford to go. So I didn't do that, and then I didn't go to film school. She did do that, and then she did go to film school. The outcome of that is that we graduated around the same time. She walked straight into an industry job that was only available for people who did something when they were 17, 18. Whereas most people now, I took a gap year for health reasons before going to uni. By the time I graduated, I was already 22. Even though I knew I've wanted to do this for such a long time, those doors were shut already, which is why I said at Wicked last year, it would be great if we had something for 25s and over, because I'm 25 in 2 weeks, and I feel like a baby in the filmmaking world, but I'm already too old for most of the things, and most of the BFI support now for young people, that's it, I'm too old.
In the Welsh language school I went to, media wasn't an option. They're heavily underfunded. I never picked up a camera. I was 17 going to college, and you're right, so many of these funding opportunities are for 16 to 18-year-olds. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I go for something like that if, you know, I've not even picked up a camera yet? It doesn't make sense. To me, young filmmakers is certainly anything under 30. And I think putting an age bracket is very risky. Let alone a tiny one like that of 2 years, 16 to 18, that's ridiculous, really. So yeah, I think these opportunities need to be broadened, seriously, and just give young filmmakers, anyone under 30, I would say, or just unestablished ones the chance, regardless of their age and their background.
Well, the best kind of filmmakers have a life before film, I think. So any 30 upwards, they should be able to get funding just to tell normal human stories.
Yeah. I think that's really important to have something to say in your films. And I do think young filmmakers have a lot to say, and sometimes voices can be lost, but groups like this are really important to show that. So yeah, and I think the films we've seen so far have been amazing to do that thing.
Sorry, I don't know if this was on. I just thought I'd quickly introduce myself. I'm Fiona, I'm brand new to Film Cymru, new to Wales as well. I'm from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and thank you for your thoughts. It's really interesting to see that actually all the issues that happen in New Zealand are very, very similar over here in Wales. I'm new in post to Ffilm Cymru. I'm going to be working as the youth engagement officer, and it's so fascinating to just even hear you guys saying that, because I'm going to be looking at kind of long-term engagement and projects and how we can help breach the gap from education to some of the more established things that Ffilm Cymru do. So it was great even just to hear, okay, great, why am I looking at 16 to 20? Let's look at 16 to 30. So yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts, because often, you know, it's like we'll be in an office and we're not on the ground. So it's really amazing to be here on the ground, hearing your thoughts, hearing the change that you need to see in the industry, and then just we will do our best to take that back, feed it back to our team, to our board, because everything you say we completely agree with. Carlotta and I are probably on the younger end of our team, not quite so young anymore, but definitely, yeah, we feel you, we hear you, and let's keep in touch. We're going to be starting up a Ffilm Cymru First Steps, which is helping to bridge the gap. I don't know if you guys know about Foot in the Door and the other Beacon and programs that they do, but we're hoping to bridge the gap between that and film education with First Steps. So yeah, I'd love to keep in touch with you all, keep engaging, keep hearing what the issues are, and yeah, hopefully we can try to do some things to help.
Yeah.
And
So
it means
thank
a lot
you.
that you've bothered to come in.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think there are a lot of funders out there that say they are engaged in, you know, doing things for youths and things like that. Well, if you really care, why not come to a festival like this and show your face like you have? And we are grateful for it, because it shows that we are being listened to in some cases. And yeah, please just keep working with us, because we've got a voice to say, really.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
It's really interesting listening to you talking about, you know, where youth and the age group. But I think there should be a lot more investment in education in schools, in primary schools, and I know Interfilm are working with schools. It is becoming on the curriculum, you know, film, but unfortunately, because of resources, teachers who are teaching Welsh or English are expected to teach film. Therefore, we should be looking at, you know, changing and getting government funding, more government funding brought from the Senedd, to actually promote film as a proper medium, not just, oh yeah, you know, lots of people watch films. And when you go on, you know, with the YCN, the Youth Cinema Network, again, their age is 26, 27. The Greece Camera Zinzanio is up to 20. So, you know, it is that middle ground of, you know, you kind of find yourself almost between two stools. But I think we should really be encouraging young people. It was great on the other day. We had 100 school children on Thursday, and they were so enthusiastic about the films that they saw. They were very vociferous. The responses were great, you know. So, as opposed to, you know, we should be looking at more education like that and getting more schools in to see free films. And when you're in places like Croatia and Serbia, it's part of their life, you know, to go into the cinema to see films. And you have teachers who are really, really enthusiastic about the medium of film. So, you know, in Wales we tend to be, you know, poetry, music, Steddfod, and, you know, there's a broader spectrum out there which we should be encouraged. And, you know, we all love film, we all want to help young filmmakers to make their films. And, you know, that's what people like myself who've been in the industry a long time want to encourage people, all the people who are on the panel, and Oshan here as well. You know, they've all made great films. So, and, you know, that's what we want to do, is to support them with possibly the knowledge that we have over the years. So, anyway, but it should be more encouraged in schools, and there should be more involvement.
Yeah, I think laying those foundations is like most important to them.
Oh,
but
definitely.
also having dialogue like this with yourselves is really important. So yeah, thank you for that. Was there any more questions? No, I think we can move on to, we have 2 more films, but the filmmakers couldn't be here today to be on the panel. So I think Heather has an introduction to his film. If we can get that on first, that would be great.
Helo, enw fi di Hedydd, and I directed the short film Cnawd Pren. Gafodd y ffilm yma I greu fel rhan o funding scheme o Chapter a BFI Film Academy in Rhedeg. The short film was made over around a month for about £1,000, and I know it's weird maybe to start off just an introduction with about really like details and even financial details, but on a session about independent films and low budget films, I think it's really important just to get into the details. Mae lot o bethau yna, wel, bethau sydd allan yna yn ffilmiau ac amdano creu ffilmiau ar budget isel iawn. Weithiau yn gallu bod yn just cyngor, ddim eitha fatha feg, ond dwi'n meddwl bod o'n help iawn gallu clywed am ffigurau manwl a gallu gweld be oedd pobl yn neud i ariannu ffilmiau. This is the first short film I ever made that was funded, and it was really interesting. So I, over about 5-6 years of making my own short films and been working with my friends. So that's basically the process that has led up to this. And then hopefully those 6 years had built up my experience and been able to get funding. Although £1,000 is a very small funding for a film, it may sound like a lot, but that was broken down to getting a cinematographer, getting 2 actors, and then getting 2 members of other crew, which was first AD, getting marketing stuff and helping people be on time, and then a sound person on set. Mae'r ffilm yn anghofio am yr ochr logistics I gyd. Mae'r ffilm yn edrych ar be ydi galar, a nid yn profiad fi efo galar, ond oedden ni siarad o'r cast hefyd, ac trio meddwl sut ydyn ni'n profi galar a sut mae'n effeithio ni mewn ffyrdd gwahanol. Because it's a micro short, so it's only 120 seconds, it was a real job to try and cram everything in. But the hope is that it stays with the audience and make people think. So yeah, that's the introduction, and hope you enjoy.
Well, yeah, I think that's another film that shows testament to what young filmmakers can do with a small amount of budget, yeah.
Definitely. Has anybody got any thoughts or comments on the film?
Yeah, just as well to like, it just shows what a bit of funding can do as well, because like in that film you've got like 2 top actors, obviously, I forgot his name for a second, but he's worked on SLC and a lot of programmes on there, and also Judith Humphries worked on, I'm pretty sure she was in Headwind, which, you know, Oscar-nominated film, and it just shows what funding can do, really, and yeah, the connections. I think one of the best things we've got in Wales is, because we're such a small country, and especially with the Welsh language, I feel like you almost know everyone, like, and it's a small community in a way, and I think we need to use that a bit more, because it's easier to make connections and to get to know people, and yeah, we need to use that more to our advantage.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's brilliant. Moving on to Ffilm Ifanc film. She couldn't be here, he did that. Did she send an introduction in? Yes.
Yes,
we'll have a
yes.
Hi, my name's Fiona. I'm sorry I can't be there today, but I thought I'd just give a little introduction about my film Ffilm Ifanc and how I made it on zero budget. So Ffilm Ifanc was made as a final major project with the foundation course in Park Menai this year, and how I wanted to put my own story and this farm story into a film, and a interview with the 92-year-old that lives in the farm that I've grown up with. So I've taken like clips of like film from around the area, and I wrote 2 poetry pieces to include in it, and I had an interview with Mrs. Williams, which is the farm owner, and she kindly let me use it as a part of my final major project. And for this film festival I've combined both, so you wouldn't have to watch them in separate screens as you would in like an exhibition, which is how I had it. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I'm sorry I can't be there. I hope you enjoy.
Y mynydd sy'n edrych i lawr ar y fferm yn ei warchod mewn gwisgoedd yr haul. Y mynydd mae Mrs Williams yn codi yn y borea yn grosawu'r diwrnod. Y mynydd sy'n adrodd hanes maes Cradog yn gwreiddiau y nawt. Y mynydd sy'n cadw'n agos pan mae dyddiau hir yn trwm. Dwi'n wastad yn meddwl am yr amser ys i maes Cradog ar ôl ysgol. Cacennau ar y bwrdd a chwpan o sgwash. Oedd 4 mlwydd oed fi wrth ei fodd. Gyda'i hiraeth am y cyfnod o'n i'n mynd yno pob wythnos ar ôl ysgol. Cwn yn cyfarth, Pero yn agos at fy nghlyn, a William yn dod yn ôl o hel defaid yn barod yn banad.
Sydd yn ocan ti gael panna.
Ie, neu dod wan.
Sydd yn ocan ti gael panna.
Ie, neu dod wan.
I love your cups with the dots on them. They're lovely, aren't they? Well, clean. Oh,
Sydd yn ocan ti gael panna.
Ie, neu dod wan.
Dyna ni, mae'r camera'n rhedeg. Let's gael sign yn rhedeg. Dyna ni. So yeah, just gael conversation, really, rhwng 3-4 ohonyn ni. Ond na probably gael Auntie Helen ar y camera hefyd, os mae...
Just dydwch pen nathach chi ddod yma I fyw, a pam nathach chi ddod yma I Maes Gradog?
1955.
Ie? A efo Mr Williams?
Ie. A wedyn, dod yma, cael y ffarm gyn Penrhyn a rent.
Penrhyn oedd di o ffermydd, lot o ffermydd?
Ie, ni brynu y ffarm 1950. 3 blynedd. 58. 58.
Ie.
Gyn Penrhyn, cos oedd yn eisiau talu
Penrhyn duty.
Death duty.
Ah.
Oedd yn wedi dalu am y death duty, nath nhw werthu dipyn o ffermydd do. Nath nhw werthu dipyn o ffermydd.
Tair ffarm.
Tair ffarm. Yn yr ardal
Cyn
yma.
maes.
Oh, wow.
A ti gwyn. A yma.
Dolawan. So di Dolawan yn dal yn Penrhyn, yndi? Yndi. So nath nhw werthu tair ffarm I dalu death duty I Lord Penrhyn.
Oh, wow.
So nathach chi brynu tair blynedd ar ôl chi fod yma, ia?
Ie.
Am faint? Da chi'n cofio?
3,000.
3,000.
Oh, wow.
A nhw yn byr cottage y fanna hefyd.
Ie.
Gwydden ni gynnig gwan o'n 900, ond oedd 3,000 yn lot am dymus.
So nath nhw beth I fforddio fo.
Na. O, be nathach chi neud yn y situation yna?
Cael mortgage nathach chi, ia? Menthyg o banc?
Ia. Ac oedd gynna ni insurance, so nhw'n cyfro.
Ie. O, ma' hwnna'n ddiddorol iawn. Efo'r chwaral, pryd oedd yr chwarelwyr yn dod lawr I cneifio?
Ar ôl 5.
Ar ôl 5?
Ie.
Tua pa adeg y flwyddyn?
O Jwlai, Gorffennaf. Ie.
Ie? A be fysa'r typical diwrnod ar ôl 5? Be fysach chi'n neud I prepario bwyd y ballu iddyn nhw?
Llon bwr o'n nhw, a bwdi reis.
Lam dynna.
Ie.
O. A faint ohonyn nhw fysa na?
A falle flwyddyn, 18.
Wow. Ie. Ac sut oedd o'n magu'r plant mewn tŷ fferm?
Sut oedd I magu plant yma?
O iawn. Oedd, o'r chweil. Gan y le. Ac oedd yn cam di'r ysgol o drws di.
Taxi.
Taxi.
Ac ysgol yn Bethesda oedd hwnna?
Penrhyn.
Pen y Bryn? Ie. Wedyn, sôn amdan, dwi wedi gynnu fi lawr fama amdan yr ail rhyfel byd ac yr evacuees. Nathach chi sôn tro dwytha amdan ail rhyfel byd ac yr evacuees ac oedden nhw'n dod draw. Nath unrhyw o'r plant dod I byw efo chi a teulu chi? Tra oedden nhw'n evacuees?
Gafoch chi rhywun ei aros efo chi?
Na, o mam isio hogan bach. Ac cha hi ddim. A bod na gen I 5 o frodyr. Gorsau i'r enia.
O'na un ar ôl chi? Bob Crap.
A beth enw brodyr chi?
William John, Griffith Owen, George, Alan, fi'n wedyn, a Bob.
Ah. Waw, Sion llaw o hogia fanna. Ac oeddech chi'n teimlo fatha oeddech chi isio chwaer ta oeddech chi'n hoffi gael brodyr?
Na, ni real tombo i nhw, ar ein joinio nhw.
Nebo, da chi'n dod o ffwrna de? Achos mae yna llun yn y lluniau yma o pawb yn nebo does. Ac nathach chi tyfu fyny ar ffarm y fanna do?
Do.
Do. Ac sut oedd chi tyfu fyny mewn ffarm? Ac wedyn dod i ffarm dy hun?
O iawn. O, yn gwahaniaeth i fi. Weithio'n galad.
Ti dal i weithio, dod?
Dal i weithio'n galad.
A beth ti'n neud wwan ar y ffarm yn maes Cradog?
Neu bwyd. Wyau. William. Mae'n ar ôl rwy'n bach. Ynddo, mae'n ar ôl bach. Da chi di cael magwraeth iawn y maes Cradog. Da chi oedd hi'n neud bed and breakfast. O hynna'n helpu, doedd? Oedd, do, fes i brysur iawn dweud hynny. Gymdogio neis. O gwmpas amserni.
Bydd hynna cerddwyr?
Ie, ffermwyr.
Ffermwyr eraill.
Angen geiriad. Ie, dwi'n di. Dim rhyw fath o'n.
Pryd nathych chi agor yr B&B?
Mae'n siŵr bod yna 50 years yn ôl oes. A mae yna lot o bobl yn dal yn cadw in touch efo chi oes. Ddim yn rhywun yma sort dweitha. Ie. Di bod yn aros yma ie. 60 years yn ôl ddeud o. O ie? Ond oedd y pobl yn neud mwy hefo chi ystalwm doedd? Oedd y ffermydd yn neud mwy hefo'i gilydd?
Oedd y mwy o cymuned?
Oedd. Cymdogion.
Ie.
Mae di newid na rw.
Ie, does am llawer o pobl yn dod at.
I helpu gilydd.
Na.
Faint sy'n na rhyw hanner dwsin sy'n na'n dŵad amser hel wan de? Rhyw hanner dwsin sy'n na'n dŵad i hel y defaid wan de? Ia. Ia. Ffrindiau mwy na'r byd? Ddeuddag, dwi'n siŵr.
Gael sain yn rhedeg.
Dydd yn ocan ti gael panna.
Ie, yna dod wan.
Amazing. So I think we'll just open it out to any last general questions. Anyone?
I wouldn't mind just saying. I wouldn't mind just saying that I thought the film was fantastic. It really shows Welsh culture. That's what I grew up with. My grandfather was a lot like that. There's a shot in there of a Welsh dresser. I have one exactly like it, and that is true Welsh history being shown. And I think Ffionn's done a fantastic job there, just truly showing Welsh language history. A language that is threatened, but I'm glad to say is on the rise and people are learning it. And a really good and important story to be shared there, I think.
Amazing. And a nice film to end it with there.
What's your opinion on, like, I'm an Englishman, I don't know any Welsh, I know a few words here and there, and I really like want to understand like what they're saying, and I'd want to, like, I was wondering what's your opinion on like trying to broaden the audience, like to show the real Welsh history, like in films, to like subtitle them in English. What's your opinion on that, personally?
Where do I start? It's a tricky one, I think, because a lot of people, if they don't speak Welsh, they don't bother watching anything in the Welsh language. I think Welsh language programming could be better targeted at a wider range of audience as well. Far too often I've put on S4C and there's, you know, some kind of farming show or something that I'm not particularly intent on watching, personally, as a young person. And I shouldn't really be afraid to say that. I think, you know, it is important to say that. I think there's definitely a market for more programming for younger people. there used to be some great music shows in the Welsh language, and although there's still a vibrant Welsh language music scene, it's not really been seen much. A lot of things are just sort of put online and left there. And again, that's another sector that's underfunded. But honestly, I don't know how to answer your question. There's a big discussion needs to be had with people that run S4C.
Because like Welsh people are like the proudest people I've ever met. It's one of the reasons why I love living here. It's like they're the most passionate people. But on the outside, it seems like they're trying to like keep the culture just themselves in a weird way by not like subtitling it.
I think you just got to push through. I mean, the first film that I did recently, the one that I did during the pandemic, I did that when I started learning Welsh, but it was important to me that I live in Wales. I've lived in here for 5 years. I need to make a Welsh film. So I've contacted various people and had them help me translate the script, and I have started to learn more since then, and I've script supervised on stuff at S4C, and there's a big contingency now for Welsh language things infiltrating Hollywood, you know, with Ryan Reynolds, and even The Light as well, which is on, I think it's in Hulu in the US. And even if you go back like 20 years and go back to Halloween Town, the magic language in that film is actually Welsh, which I didn't know until recently. I think I've just decided to just push through, even though I only understood bits of Fion's film, but I'm trying to get there and just getting out and talking to people. And I think there can be it can be quite daunting, but I think it's the same as watching any foreign language film with subtitles on. You just got to do it, I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be really great to have maybe some established Welsh artists get off their backsides a bit, maybe in the US, if that's where they're residing, and make more films maybe in the Welsh language if they do speak Welsh, or just in Wales. I think the director that does Gangs of London and The Raids, he makes that here in Wales, you know, because he's invested in bringing work to Wales and boosting the economy and giving Welsh people the opportunity to do work. I think actors like Matthew Rhys and Rhys Ifanc are always doing a really good job, based in New York and LA, showing that Wales is relevant. And honestly, I think it's great that people like Ryan Reynolds, massive names like that, even in a way jumping on the bandwagon and pushing it, even driving it. And I'm grateful for them, seriously, because it's bringing so much attention to our country, and we deserve it, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I'm grateful to them, and it'd be good to get more of that, I think.
Yeah, making young people in Wales proud to be Welsh, which is very important.
Definitely.
Amazing. So.
Oshan?
Just on the note of subtitles, and like you were saying, sometimes we can be a bit like closed, and it's as if we don't want to share. I fully understand what you say. The one that gets me more than anything though is like which is the case for a lot of Welsh work, it'll be subtitled in English, but we won't have Welsh subtitles. So I kind of wish that film had both, so one at the top, one at the bottom, so maybe it would be more accessible to non-Welsh speakers. But at the same time, it's nice for a change to see Welsh subtitles, because you don't see it enough. My hearing is quite bad, and when you're watching something in Welsh, sometimes you want those subtitles, but they're not there. But going back to the point, I think Welsh people, we sometimes do close off our culture. We're not the best at sharing it at times, but I think subtitles is a way of doing that, and I fully agree with it.
Yeah, and I think on a note of subtitles as well, again, going back to Ryan Reynolds, one of his latest films on Netflix, Red Notice, the first ever film on Netflix to have Welsh subtitles. Yeah. People are raving about that, but I'm a bit like, what the hell? Really, is it taking that long? Do you know what I mean? And it took a Canadian to get that done. Do you know what I mean? It's embarrassing. So I think a lot of the time for subtitles, it's because why would America bother? Yeah. Most Americans I've met, they don't even know Welsh as a language. You know, so yes, absolutely.
Another one, going back to subtitles, I remember at the time the Squid Game came out, and there was a really big, like, obviously the success of the show and everything, but people were like saying, well, why can't we have a Squid Game in Welsh? Or like, I'm not saying exactly a copy of Squid Game, but like something that is like heavily funded and something that uses Welsh talent and that sort of thing. And like, because of subtitles these days, it could be accessible to everyone. I don't think subtitles put people off watching something these days. And the minute, like, I think it's the director of Parasite that said, I think he said, the minute you get over that inch on the screen for subtitles, you just open up a whole new world of cinema. And I think we do need to do that a bit better in Wales and market ourselves a bit more outwardly, because it'd be a shame if, like that film there, it was so good about our culture and stuff, it'd be a shame if we're kind of closing it off for like a bigger audience as well. So, yeah.
I mean, I think if you look in history, a lot of Welsh language films, the very few that have made it to big award ceremonies, even in the UK, often land themselves in the foreign language category, which, you know, is quite funny, isn't it? Being that it's the language of, you know, allegedly a United Kingdom, but you know, another discussion for another time, I guess. But it's true, it's our language, and it's not a foreign language to us, it's our language, and it, yeah, couldn't agree more, Sian, honestly.
That's amazing, and I think this festival has helped to do that, bringing international voices and cheering them across Wales, so it's amazing. Are we good to wrap up there? Any last questions? No? Well, thank you all very much for answering those, and I really loved the film, so thank you very much.
Thank you.